comes through. Fresh start in the morning blue. Hey, now blue sky shining down. Left your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day. Oh, coffee, steam, and a smile breaks free. Simple joys are enough for me. Stones roll out, but I don't mind. Sun's still waiting on the other side. Turn it up, feel the sound. Good vibrations all around. Hey, now blue sky shining down. Lift your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day. No heavy weight, no looking back, just open roads and a wake up, sunlight tapping on the door. Feels like I've been here all before. Radio humming, the world feels right. Every little thing's in tune tonight. Shadows fade, the truth comes through. Fresh start in the morning blue. Hey now, blue sky shining down. Lift your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day.
Hey, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Good morning. It's Friday. I love Fridays. I'm sure you love Fridays as well. Now I want to get to a few things this morning. Good morning, Lisa. Appreciate you being here in the chat. You guys can always send me your chats. Good morning, Cat and Chat. Breaking news this morning. What's that? Are you talking about the Brown University breaking news? Because I promise we are going to be getting to that this morning. Hopefully. We've got the breaking news. Brown University, they've got the suspect. This was a really weird story, and I haven't reported on it much because, okay, yes, we're going to get to that. I promise, Lisa. I think it's going to be like my second story. But the Brown University, like this whole thing has been so weird. So Brown University and this MIT professor shooting, they have been linked. The suspect found dead. So we're going to get to that. Very weird. They got the who they are saying is the suspect. And he's dead. So we're going to get to that. But I also want to get to the $700 million spent here in Illinois. We focus on a lot of Illinois stories as well. Here on the Conservative Cat Show, $700 million spent on homelessness. Pritzker talked about what he calls a functional zero, which means they're not seeking to eradicate homelessness anymore. They're just trying to get it to be managed. Why is that? Because they've built an entire bureaucracy that is dependent on taxpayer dollars, and these agencies are dependent on your dollars to fund their lavish lifestyles, their exorbitant salaries. And we're going to talk about Pritzker's functional zero fantasy. And a big part of the show today, it's been dominating the internet, conservative circles. Tucker Carlson refusing to bend the knee. He does not want to bend when it comes to Ben Shapiro's demands for him to disavow Nick Fuentes. He says, as host, we are responsible for our guests. Of course, you're responsible for the guests, the questions you ask. But a disavowal of a person is not productive. Okay, I disavow that person. No, we disavow ideas. We condemn ideas, words that people say. We can do that, and that's productive. But disavowing people, that's not what Charlie Kirk was about. And Ben Shapiro was not on the list. I found it really shocking that he was put on the list, obviously by new leadership there over at TPUSA. He was not on the list when Charlie Kirk put this announcement out there, who the speakers would be. I think it was like August 27th was when the speakers were announced. So that was prior to Charlie Kirk's death. We've got a lot to get to this morning. Yeah, so let's get to Michaelia Ponce. I think that's how you say her name. She's an awful person. I wanted to get to this yesterday. I'm sure you've seen the clip. It's gone viral. You can tell a lot about a person's character in the way they treat the elderly. Okay, and this woman is just a straight up awful person. Ponce, her last name. She was shopping at Target and she noticed an elderly employee wearing a red Charlie Kirk shirt. It says freedom on it. Okay, and she didn't like that. This woman, Michaelia. So she didn't like it so much so that she went up to this woman, started recording her, started mocking her, berating her for the entire interweb to see. And the problem with that is that the internet citizens, they really don't like it when you abuse an innocent elderly person online. Okay, especially ones who are as nice as the Target employee, Janine. So let me get to this clip. Here we go. Take a look at this.
Why?
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes.
So
Why? Why are you taking my picture?
why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's
It's
not a
a
Target
red
shirt.
shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be a.
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you fucking stupid?
No.
Why the fuck would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt.
We
You
don't.
support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with
You're not. You
you
should go
over
get
it.
your manager. You should not be allowed to wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable.
That's your opinion.
No, the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion, ma'am. Have
And
a
you
nice
shouldn't.
day.
You should not be allowed to wear that.
Have
This
a
is
nice-
going to be taken above your fucking head. That's insane.
Have a
Insane.
nice day.
In fucking insane.
Sorry for that, but just
Piece of shit.
because liberals, they absolutely just love cussing, and I should have warned you about that. It was riddled with curse words. Yeah, extremely disturbing. The internet rallied behind this elderly woman, Janine, and raised nearly $100,000 for her. Okay, so according to Newsweek, this nonprofit employee, so the woman you hear cussing like crazy, that she's a nonprofit employee. Wow, I couldn't have seen that coming. I was thinking government employee, nurse, teacher, or nonprofit employee when I first saw this video. And then I was like, oh, wow, she was a nonprofit employee in the nonprofit sector, which is essentially a government job. Taxpayer money is funneled into nonprofits. We're going to get to that here, actually, with our homelessness story for Illinois. I do want to get to the Brown University breaking news. But the nonprofit employee, she's a nonprofit employee. Okay. And she's under police investigation now after the video went viral online. showing a woman questioning a Target worker for wearing a Charlie Kirk t-shirt on the store floor. And Null Health is the nonprofit organization. They said police were investigating a post on the employee's personal social media account that the healthcare organization said was deeply concerned about. So her bosses, the people she works for, they're not like standing by her side, essentially. And I don't know what the police are investigating her about. The Chico Police Department in California, they released a statement and said the video circulating online depicting a verbal confrontation inside a local business. They're investigating that. I don't know, like harassment, maybe. I don't think that she did anything criminal here, unless there are certain laws about taping inside businesses. And she had asked her to stop. I know here in the state of Illinois, you can't like go in places and start recording people. You have to have two-party consent. So both parties have to agree to the recording. So I'm not exactly sure what the police are doing here in this story. But, I don't know what this woman was thinking. Did she truly think she had the moral high ground here? She was mocking an innocent woman who really was just going about her day. She was wearing a shirt, Charlie Kirk shirt, who was an innocent man who was slaughtered, a bullet in his neck for the world to see. And then she berated this innocent lady who's just trying to do her job. I don't know why she thought she had the moral high ground here. Bizarre. Charlie Kirk was innocent and he was shot in the neck for the world to see. And most sane people would say that Charlie Kirk was innocent and didn't deserve that. And nobody deserves to die in brutal ways. I'm pro-life all the way. But Charlie Kirk was quite literally, I would say, a Christian martyr, and innocent. And I don't know, it sometimes feels like we don't hate the left enough for somebody to feel so compelled to go up and berate this innocent woman about a man who was innocent as well. It's like I don't hate them enough. Sometimes I feel that way. In this video, it's been viewed millions of times on TikTok, on X. This woman can be heard saying the F word a lot. Why the F would you wear that? Are you effing stupid? You support a racist. And, at one point, the employee on the camera, you can see the innocent lady. She goes, "I'm sorry. I'm not going to stand here and argue with it. I mean, she like literally says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I offended you. Have a nice day. I don't want to stand here and argue with you." So the nonprofit organization who employs this crazy woman, Null Health, said in a Facebook post that they are deeply concerned about the post that this woman had shared out. Like, how do you do that? And then also say to yourself, yeah, this seems like reasonable to post. They said that they were concerned about the post and the response that it has created from individuals of all political persuasions. We can only hope that this organization fires her. And, I highly doubt that this nonprofit organization, I'm sure that it's like a, feel good mission. They all are, right? I highly doubt that you want this sort of stain on your reputation, reputation. And I don't think you want her representing you. Okay, this is truly vile behavior, and it's great. Sometimes the internet is great in that it exposes these types of people, and it shows us the good in people. Like this woman, like the last thing this Karen had probably thought she was going to post this, and she thought that she was going to get some sort of applause for posting this, for berating an innocent woman. But in reality, the woman that she was berating actually got $100,000. Okay. And she's the one who's possibly going to be fired. Her employer already condemned, what she had done and posted. So that's the thing about life sometimes. You have both these women and they got what was coming for them. This innocent woman, Janine is her name. She got what was coming to her, $100,000. And this Karen, she did not get the positive response she had hoped, obviously, and she's probably going to lose her job. So life is funny that way. Sometimes it works out. So hopefully she realizes her actions were wrong and she apologized to this woman. It's doubtful. I haven't seen any kind of formal apology. I haven't seen if the organization has fired her, the nonprofit organization. It's doubtful. Her rage, her blind rage makes me think that she will never apologize. And I don't even know what she's mad about. Charlie's been gone for quite some time. And like the fact that Charlie Kirk, a man who died, still invokes this kind of response out of people tells you how much impact he had, but also tells you how deranged some of these people on the left are. So this woman, this is nothing more than a personal problem for her if she gets fired. And I think that she should. I think that the organization should do the right thing. Fire this woman. God bless Janine. And I'm sure she is happy that she is receiving this wonderful act of generosity right before Christmas. $100,000. Could you imagine? Welcome back to the Conservative Cat Show, my truth seekers, my fellow truth seekers. I do want to get to the Brown University story. Okay. So the suspected Brown University shooter is dead. This is a really bizarre story, and I haven't talked about it because of how strange it is. So we're going to get to this. The shooter is dead due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Okay, and this suspect has now been linked to the MIT professor killing. So let me get to what we've because I haven't covered it all, and I'm going to try to be comprehensive here. It's been 5 days since the gunman shot multiple students in a classroom at Brown University. So tragic. Killing 2, injuring 9 others. And up until now, there's really been very little answers. There was a series of press conferences that I watched, and I came out confused. Okay. They primarily just stoked this confusion. The press conferences officials finally have provided a concrete update regarding the situation at Brown University, and they did this late last night, Thursday night. Okay, now the suspect has been identified as 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Nieves Valente. Okay. The Providence Island, Rhode Island press conference was originally set, and I watched it, some of it. It was originally set for 4 p.m. Eastern, but then it got pushed back repeatedly. And then the press conference, and they've already hosted it, done a ton of press conferences up until the last night one. But this one got pushed back repeatedly as rumors swirled that authorities had identified a person of interest in the matter. The individual seen on video that they had released previously, like I said, they did a ton of press conferences, and there was an individual on video, and that individual seen on the video previously, that's the guy who they suspect who's dead. So there were aerial views of the storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, and a gray Nissan Sentra was thought to be connected to the murders. So let me pull up this picture. You guys can see it, of the aerial shot of the Nissan Sentra. And here it is. So aerials over the parking lot on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Sorry, guys. Yeah, on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. I want to share those. Here we go. Of the gray Nissan Sentra that was wanted in relation to the homicide. So this is like their official update. Here we go. I'll show you the aerial shots. Strange, because additionally, there were indications that the Brown University shooting might be connected to the murder of the MIT professor Nuno Lorio at his home in Brookline, Massachusetts on Monday. Okay, so that happened on Monday. The shooting of the professor, and then just 5 days ago, so that was Sunday, I think it was, the Brown University. Yeah, I think it was like Sunday or Monday. It was all happened this week. Okay, so the shooting of the professor and the shooting at Brown University of the students. So they thought it was in connection to it. The professor shooting in Brookline, Massachusetts, ahead of the press conference, which began, it was supposed to start at 4 p.m. Eastern. It began at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Brooke Taylor tweeted out that the suspected shooter had been found dead of self-inflicted gunshot. Okay, sources, this is what Brooke Taylor says. She's Fox News. She said, sources confirmed to me that the suspect shooter gas has been found. So sources confirmed to me that the suspect shooter has been found dead from self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the storage facility. Okay, so at the press conference, you had authorities identify the suspected gunman as 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. So he was a Portuguese national and also a former Brown University student, and he obtained lawful permanent resident status in April of 2017. Okay, now Providence Police Chief Oscar Perez confirmed that Claudio is the individual seen in the videos authorities shared with the public earlier. Per Perez, a vehicle was picked up via a license plate recognition camera, which led law enforcement to the car rental agency in Massachusetts, from which they were able to obtain video footage of the individual, along with a rental agreement that provided his real name. His last known address was in Miami, Florida. They were able to obtain his financial records, and it led them to this storage facility. So the car here, the image you're looking at right here, that's where the car was and where they found the car. It was outside this storage facility, the Nissan Sentra. Okay, but this story gets so weird because like they had all the information, but they didn't actually like apprehend the suspect, and the suspect was like able to die. You know what I mean? Like they had him on video, they had the car, they had all of this, but somehow the suspect was like not caught or caught and released, and it's just wild. So the Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Narora confirmed that the second individual seen in the video they shared yesterday, helped blow the case open. They had high praise for his assistance in their being able to identify Claudio. So per the Attorney General there in Rhode Island, information they obtained from the second individual on the camera led them to the license plate, which led them to the car, which led them to the name, to the photos, and ultimately to the storage facility where he was found dead. Okay, the suspect. So Claudio, the guy, the suspect, was found with a satchel containing 2 firearms and evidence in the car that matches what they had seen at the scene in Providence. Brown University. So the Attorney General also stated that Claudio had swapped out plates on the vehicle and used Florida plates, Maine plates. Very bizarre story. So Brown University president Christina Paxson confirmed that Claudio Nieves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. He was a PhD student in physics. Per Paxton, physics classes were mostly held in the engineering building there on campus, and that is where the shooting had occurred. Okay, so she noted it's safe to assume that when he was a student, he spent a great deal of time in that building as a PhD student in physics. He didn't have any kind of current affiliation with the university. So, I mean, this was from 2000 to 2001. I've got questions. Why all the way in 2025 he goes back to his university and shoots up children or shoots up these students? I don't know. Both Perez, so Perez is stay with me, the Providence police chief, and FBI special agent in charge, Ted Docks, they confirmed that the Brown University shooting and the MIT shooting are connected. Docks acknowledged that initially, when asked about it, they saw no indication that they were connected. Okay, but they have since determined they are connected. Neither was willing to share much information about the Massachusetts shooting. The Massachusetts shooting is of the MIT professor, okay, noting that the investigation is being led by attorney Lee Foley. Massachusetts authorities are expected to hold their own press conferences tonight, I think. So this is just bizarre, this story. Lario. Now let me go back here. Sorry, I've got notes here. And I'm scrambled because I was thinking of something. Okay, so yeah, per Perez, as far as they know, Claudio, the guy that was found dead, acted alone. And there is no known anti-Semitism component to this. They believe he flew into Providence sometime in October and has been traveling in and around New England since then. So a press release. I'm just trying to give you everything that I know as far as facts, and then I'll give you a take. But a press release from the Rhode Island Attorney General website sets forth additional details along with an affidavit used to secure an arrest warrant for Claudio Nieves Valente prior to his death. Claudio's motives remain unclear, and there are tons of questions regarding these shootings. The MIT professor one, and it seems like nobody really wants to talk about any of it. And it sounds like they got the guy or they knew who the guy was. But Lario, the professor, the Nuno Lario, remember him, the MIT professor, he and Claudio, the guy who was found dead and is the suspect, they went to the same university attended the same university in Lisbon prior to the fall of 2000. Okay, so that was in Portugal. Okay, so they went to the same university in Portugal. So I've got lots of questions. I'm going to come back. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to give you my take on it. I haven't talked about this because it was so weird. Like there was this like whole manhunt going on. It seemed like they knew who it was. Then they like didn't capture him, and it like they had this guy in the video. There was a second guy in the video that ultimately led them to the license plate, the car, the photo, the storage unit, the financials, the name, or the car rental place, the name of the guy. I mean, this was a goose chase, and we still have lots of questions, and there is a lot of weird coincidences So they are connected. I mean, through the sole fact that the MIT professor and the suspect went to the same college in Portugal. So we're going to have to take a quick break, but I'm going to come back, give you my take, and then we're going to come in and we're going to chat about Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. There was like a fight at AMFEST. It was really quite funny and entertaining to watch. But we're also going to talk about the $700 million spent on homelessness here in the state of Illinois. I'll be right back.
Check your blind spots. Men love to call things out. Weakness, hypocrisy, failure. We're wired to spot threats and take action. But Jesus didn't say, never judge. He said, judge not, that you be not judged. Why? Because judgment without humility is a trap. It turns you into a sniper with a log jammed in your eye. Matthew 7 hits hard. Jesus calls out a man who sees a speck in his brother's eye, but ignores the plank in his own. He's not saying, don't correct. He's saying, clean your lens first. Self-examination before confrontation. It takes guts to get real with your own sin, to admit you've gone soft, to face your pride, lust, laziness, or bitterness head on. But that's what real men do. They sharpen themselves before they sharpen others. Jesus didn't just want behavior police. He wanted heart warriors. Men who get the plank out, then humbly help a brother see clearly. Men who don't just flex spiritual authority, but walk with spiritual maturity. In verse 6, it's about discernment. Don't toss holy things to pigs. Don't waste truth on ears that mock it. Know when to speak. Know when to walk away. Before you blast through your next workout, check your form. Same with life. Patriot Pump fuels clean, focused energy, but you've still got to show up. Power with purpose. Clarity with strength. That's how you train. That's how you lead.
Hey, smash that like button. Share this out with your friends. This is where I'm at with this story, the Brown University story. And I'm going to play a clip from Jesse Waters. I mean, this was a complete embarrassment of an investigation. 2 people dead. And I mean, one of them being she was the vice president of the campus Republican Club. Tragic story. And, with school shootings, with university shootings, they're targeted. Young people are targeted. Children are targeted. Young people are targeted. People want answers immediately. It takes a combination of good police work combined with help from the public if they want to play an active role in keeping their community safe. Okay. If everybody's goal is to keep the community safe and get the guy, because this guy went after children and young people. And that's something that Americans just have a huge problem with. Okay. So Brown University, like I said, it happened in Providence, Rhode Island. The shooting here is just an absurdity of an investigation. Up to this point, they finally got the guy, but he was found dead. And there's a lot of weird coinky-dinks. It's now connected with the MIT professor shooting. They went to the same college in Portugal. He went to college there in 2000 to 2001. And, like day 6 of the investigation, Brown University, of the Brown University shooting investigation, on day 6, like the local officials there were saying that the perp couldn't be found anywhere. Now, this is odd because in 2025, this happened on a university. There's cameras everywhere. One should reasonably expect that when you walk outside of your house, you're on camera. Like, we have license plate cameras, which they use to try to find the license plate. But ultimately, it was a secondary guy that they found on a video who helped with the identification of the guy, or the identification of the car, the license plate. And then they track that back to the rental car agency. And then they figured out his financials and then found the storage unit when he was already dead. So, you know, you walk out of your house, you're on camera with Ring doorbell cameras. Police were actually in this investigation trying to find the person of interest through Ring doorbell cameras in the area. I mean, there were like thousands. There's got to be hundreds of cameras. I mean, this is at the university. I think there were 1,200 security cameras on campus is the number. Okay, so I mean, this investigation took a downright comical turn, and you know, I mean, it looks like it's a scene out of a movie almost, and it's comedy how bad this really was. So, like I said, 1,200 security cameras are on campus. You know, no one on the perimeter to see who's coming and going. The university police, okay, and authorities didn't know how many students were in the room at the time of the shooting. The president, 6 hours into the shooting, had no idea if the shooter was there or not still. I mean, they really botched this, okay? Surveillance footage aside, the real story here is the ineptness of those conducting this investigation, and I think that we can trace it back to DEI. The DEI mess that is Brown University, and this is the problem when you have your police departments and your universities full of DEI hires. It is a DEI mess, and I want to start with the DEI mess at Brown University. So the Brown University Public Safety Chief, Rodney Chapman, okay, before his current gig at Brown, Chapman was the head of campus security at University of Utah. Immediately upon his hiring in Utah, he was suspended for not having the proper credentials. Okay, so Utah gave him a choice: quit or be fired. So he resigned. You know, got this job under the false pretenses, and you don't have the proper credentials to be a campus security officer, the head of campus security. So he resigned. And just before the shooting, Brown's police union issued a no confidence vote against Chapman. Okay, so officers said he endangered them and created a toxic workplace culture. Okay, and this is all true. Like, they don't have it had a no confidence vote, the police union, because the university police and the police, they work together. And the union got together and they said, this guy sucks. This guy endangers people and he's toxic in the workplace culture. And, you know, this East Coast Ivy League school, all about diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. Okay. They think that this guy is king, but he didn't have the proper credentials. He lied about trying to get into campus head security at Utah. And then he was told by his own team that you suck and you endanger people and you suck in the workplace. And then Brown University president Christina Paxson has consistently caved to left-wing campus groups. And it's a whole DEI mess. Christina, the president there, she was asked, I know about the Brown University shooting. She had no idea. I think it was like 6 hours into the shooting. She had no idea what was going on, how many students were in there. Like, if I was the president of the university, I would be boom, boom, boom on that stuff. But this DEI mess doesn't stop when it comes to the campus. Okay. It's in the police department too. So you've got Rhode Island's chief of police, Oscar Perez, the first Latino police chief. Okay. Chief Perez may have a problem in the form of his nephew, who was sentenced to 22 years in prison for running a fentanyl ring in Rhode Island. Now, I don't know about you, but do we hire police chiefs if their nephews are running and if family members are running the largest fentanyl ring? Like, I get it. It's your nephew. It's not really like your son. He's like a distant relative, but still, I mean, we're talking about the largest fentanyl ring in Rhode Island, and he's got a connection to that guy. Okay. Providence mayor, Brett Smiley, promoted Perez, knowing that his nephew had legal troubles. Okay. So they wanted to diversify the department, and they say this stuff out loud, that they wanted to diversify the department, and that's why they hired Oscar. So last but certainly not least, the Providence City Council Chief of Staff, someone named June Rose. June uses they them pronouns and was arrested in March for protesting in front of the Trump Tower. Okay, in front of Trump Tower. So, I mean, you've got a bunch of left-wing crazy activists here. And 2 people are dead, including this one girl who was the vice president at Brown University for the Republican Club. We still don't know a motive for the shooting. They said it's not anti-Semitic in nature. That's all we pretty much know. But don't worry, we've got the band of DEI misfits and warriors, social justice warriors on the case. What could possibly? Of course it went wrong. Of course this is what days. But what did we expect? Of course this was going to go wrong. Of course we still don't have details about anything. I'm going to play a little bit of Jesse Waters for you. This was a bit that he did on Fox News. I want to make sure that I get this right. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
Days since a gunman shot up one of the most prestigious universities in the world and got away with it. No one knows where the shooter is, who he is, or what he looks like. After days of no answers and no leads, Brown students are angry.
The general mood I've been feeling is like getting the air knocked out of you. It's pretty sad on campus. We have been concerned and confused and hoping that there's more progress in the case. There's definitely uneasiness with the gunman not being in custody.
There's uneasiness because we're not getting any answers from the people in charge. Their press conferences are an embarrassment. The police chief doesn't even know who was in the room during the shooting.
Can you now say how many kids were in that classroom, and did the gunman come in from the back so these people never knew it was coming, or did he come in front with full view of everybody?
And that's all part of the interviews, and actually we're cooperating with Brown to get the roster. That was a study hall, so we don't have the number. We're still getting information as far as who was there.
It's been 5 days, and you don't have a list of witnesses. You don't even know how many witnesses there are. And the witnesses that you have talked to, they told you the gunman shouted something, but you don't know what that is. One eyewitness said there was around 20 ducking behind the table. You can't track down 20 of your own students. Well, the New York Times says there's 60 eyewitnesses. How do they know that? And the chief doesn't. The local media has had it.
Had it been a final exam, we'd have a roster. We'd have handed it over. We know exactly who was in the room because everybody shows up for a final. But for a study session, it's elective.
We're finishing the answer. Ronaldo.
It's elective. It's elective to turn out for a study session. So we don't know exactly what fraction of the overall roster turned out for a voluntary review session.
Okay. Remember the black student witness who told ABC that the shooter had a long gun that was really big? Now they're saying the gun might have been small.
You don't think there's multiple weapons?
No, just that individual.
I just want to jump in here too, because you mentioned a long gun. We are not in a position to say, unless the chief, you want to square it, whether this was a long gun or not.
And get this, Now we're learning Brown University had more than 800 surveillance cameras. They had 1,200, and not a single camera got a shot of the shooter entering or exiting the building. Is it dumb luck that he found the one blind spot on campus? Or is he a student who knows the lay of the land? Or did he just case the place for hours and no one noticed?
It's believed, based on what we know, that the gunman, primary person of interest, the suspect, came out of that entrance or exit and started walking this way and passing this dumpster. If you just look around this parking lot to show everybody, there are no cameras that we can see out here, right outside of the Barris and Hawley building. You can see there are no cameras that we see visible to the eye. So that is something that has been a big sticking point in this investigation.
Why wouldn't you put cameras on the perimeter of campus so you can see who's coming on the campus and who's coming off? That's security 101. Here we have surveillance video that caught the shooter right after the attack, walking by a cop car a block away from the building at 4:06 Saturday afternoon. This could be a huge break. That means we have dash cam footage of the shooter leaving the scene of the crime, right? No. The police chief hasn't checked.
In the video released yesterday, it appears that the person of interest is going by a police cruiser that has its lights on. Does that mean that the dash cam in that cruiser was on and activated, and have police been able to recover anything useful from that video?
So that was a brown police cruiser, and I'm not sure if they have body cameras in their cruisers.
You're not sure if Brown's police cruisers have dash cams? You haven't asked them that yet? And you're standing right next to the Brown University campus police chief. Does he know? More on that guy later. And this...
Anyway, so I wanted to share that with you. You get the gist. I mean, at this point, the story isn't who did it, why. The story is that these people don't know what the hell they're doing. Don't know what the F they're doing, to quote President Donald J. Trump. The band of DEI warriors, and I broke down each one of them. It's not just on the campus university police crew, Chapman, who was, issued a no confidence vote by his own team, by his own co-workers. They said, hey, you foster a toxic work culture. He lied about his credentials to get to be the head of campus security at Utah. They were going to fire him, or they told him to quit, and he ultimately quit. Then he got this job at Brown University. And then you've got the chief of police, whose nephew ran the biggest fentanyl ring in Rhode Island. So and because he's Latino, we're going to put him in. And yeah, these people are just silly. So that's my take on the Brown University shooting. At this point, it was a DEI mess. And this is the danger of putting people in positions that they don't have any skills or merit to be in those positions. So smash that like button, share this out with your friends, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys being here. Subscribe right now if you're new. We are going to get into Tucker Carlson and the Ben Shapiro infighting going on. It was very entertaining to watch them go after each other at AMFEST. Before we do that, we're going to get into an Illinois story, because we're spending about $700 million a year taxpayer money on homelessness. Let me repeat that, $700 million. Okay, so this comes straight out of Illinois. The problem here is when you break this down, who is spending the money? Who's collecting that money? Where is it going? What is the goal? Okay, and really, this is just an example of government confusing compassion with bureaucracy. It's not about compassion. Their goal isn't even to eradicate homelessness, and they're willing to say that out loud. They just want to manage it because they've built this entire bureaucracy, because over the last few years, we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and we've expanded the bureaucracy to address homelessness. And they rely on that problem existing forever in order for them to have jobs. So you understand, they're never going to eradicate homelessness. In fact, they thrive when it's like the worst. So that's why the more money you spend, the less they address it, or They make it worse with their solutions. So that way they remain in their job position. So Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker stood along city leaders recently and county officials, and of course the nonprofit industrial complex, and they announced another $2 million going to $2 million of taxpayer funding going to Springfield area homelessness. Now we have a ton of nonprofit organizations. I could name some, but all of their executive directors in these nonprofit organizations are getting like $200,000, $300,000 salaries. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're a nonprofit director, should you be collecting $200,000 salary to address homelessness? I feel like that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the existence of your nonprofit. Aren't you supposed to be doing good? It sounds like you're actually just there to collect a big fat paycheck. But anyway, the $2 million is for Springfield area homelessness. Now, it's gotten so much worse in the last few years. I worked in Springfield for a time, and I would literally on my way to the Capitol to do some reporting, when I was a journalist, I would have to step over bodies. Okay. They were laying in the streets, and I would have to step over them in order to get to the Capitol. So big problem. Now the $2 million sounds small. We have a $55 billion budget, something like that. So it sounds relatively small until you zoom out, and then you realize, holy crap, Illinois' own chief of homelessness officer, Christine Haley, that $2 million is just pocket change compared to the $700 million. Okay, so she cited these numbers in this press conference. They're all flanked next to each other, talking about how they're going to not even eradicate homeless. Like, they won't even say that their goal is to end homelessness anymore. Like, they say they just want to manage it and then get to a functional zero, whatever the hell that means. But $2 million is just a little bit that they're doing in Springfield. We're spending $700 million, probably even more than that, on homelessness efforts statewide. Really, it's Chicago, and then they're spending a little bit in Springfield. Okay, so this is insane. $700 million, and we have a $55 billion budget. That's ballooned dramatically since Governor J.B. Pritzker has taken office. It went from $30 billion to $55 billion. What the hell are we spending money on? This isn't charity. This is government spending your money and then calling it compassion. And really what that money is going towards is all these bureaucrats who come up with solutions that actually make the problem worse and keep them in their jobs. It's a form of job security by making the problem worse and never truly addressing the causes of homelessness. And their goal is to manage it and make it a lifestyle. Okay, homelessness. Which is why you can't call people homeless anymore. They want to do away with that and call people unhoused, because I guess calling somebody homeless is a stereotype and there's nothing wrong with being unhoused. Okay, and they want to make it like a lifestyle that you get to choose, and these nonprofit organizations are going to help you stay unhoused and like not put you in a home. Okay, because how dare you say homelessness is a problem? These people, they choose this, and that's a good thing. Okay, so Governor J.B. Pritzker took office in 2019. The annual state spending has increased by $16 billion. That is a 40% jump. Okay, so 40%. Your income didn't grow 40%. Your small business didn't see a 40% increase in revenue. Okay. Your property taxes didn't go down 40%. Of course not. But the government always finds room to grow. Okay. Especially when the solution is always more money. They throw more money at this, money, and they create more agencies, more money, more nonprofits, more people working for these nonprofits, more administrators, more press conferences. And guess what? Homelessness is way worse than it was before Governor J.B. Pritzker took office. It's ballooned. just like our budget. So why? Because what they're doing is they're providing job security for themselves, and they are doing what's called functional zero. And this, I'm taking this straight out of JB's mouth. Okay. JB, he started something called Home Illinois. Okay. And that launched in 2024. And here's how the costs break down. For this program, we're not talking about, taxpayer dollars going to specific nonprofits all around Chicago. This is just this Home Illinois, and then it goes into the Home Illinois initiative, and then it goes into other nonprofits. But there's other initiatives and other taxpayer dollars. So we're spending way more than these numbers. So we spent like $350 million on the Home Illinois initiative in fiscal year 2024, fiscal year 2025, $290 million. These numbers are from Center Square. Fiscal year 2026, we're going to spend $263 million. And you hear that and you're like, okay, it's going down. But then you look at the federal dollars that are being spent. They're taking federal dollars, spending it on these homelessness programs. And then you look at other state dollars. And I mean, in total, say it with me, it hits about $700 million about every single year. So, the governor says that, this shows stable funding. Translation, the spending is now baked in. And once a program, hits a certain scale, hits, there's 50 people working for this program, it's never going to shrink. It's only going to expand. And, that's what he means by stable funding. It means that the program's going to exist forever. And they're not interested in actually solving the problem, because if they solve the problem, they're all out of jobs. You see what I'm saying? So functional zero is something that he said. The goal is something called functional zero. And it sounds impressive. It sounds, scientific. But what the governor is actually saying here with functional zero is that there's never going to be a moment where somebody doesn't have a roof over their head, but we're not going to try to permanently house them, because it's okay if people are unhoused as long as they have a roof to sleep under, at night. Not a permanent home, but as long as they have like a dwelling of some kind to sleep at night. But they're going to remain, homeless and not actually have a home. And that's why they changed the word from homeless to unhoused. You see, because it's not about putting people in homes and permanency. They aren't eliminating homelessness. They aren't solving the root causes of homelessness. They're managing it, and they're actually encouraging it. They're saying things like, it's okay to not fit into society and have a permanent home, permanent condition. And we are going to help you manage that lifestyle. So that way, you can continue it. We're going to give you like a little place to stay here this week. And then this week we'll give you a place to stay here. But they never are really like housed in a home permanently. Okay, that is not their goal. Their goal is to get people under roofs temporarily sometimes. Okay, and they're managing it, and they're encouraging that lifestyle with your money, and there is no finish line. So let's get something straight. Christians are called to care for the poor, but Scripture never commands Caesar to build a $700 million bureaucracy, because what they're doing right now is not serving the poor. They're taking money from people, and they're enabling this unhoused lifestyle so that way they can continue to get rich. Okay, so they're making the poor worse off, and they are enriching themselves. Real compassion is telling the truth, is holding these homeless people accountable and getting them to fit in society and be in a permanent condition of being housed. Okay. What Illinois is offering is layers, industrialized compassion is what I like to call it. This is layers of administrators getting paid, nonprofits chasing grants, people being filled in these nonprofits as employees, and really what these nonprofits go do and spend all their time on. And I'm talking about the underlings, so like not the executive directors who are pocketing $200,000, $300,000 salaries, but the underlings. They go lobby the legislators. They do the grunt work for the political elite, okay, and for the rich people at the tippity top. They go do the grunt work, and this is not compassion. And we're trapped. We're trapped in this cycle where you have almost like faux sheltering going. It's fake sheltering. They're not interested in permanently housing someone. They want them to continue their lifestyles as an unhoused, what would you call them? Like a nomad almost. And they treat these people not like human beings, but like line items. And we're throwing money at this problem. And if throwing money at this problem worked, Illinois would be a national model by now. Like I said, $700 million a year on homelessness. You'd think that the problem would be somewhat eradicated, but that's not the goal. They want functional managing. They don't want to end homelessness. They want people in these unhoused lifestyles. And here's the dirty little secret nobody likes to talk about: entire careers, $200,000 salary. These executive directors in these homeless coalitions, Chicago and Homelessness Coalition, these executive directors are making. And their entire careers depend on homelessness now. So why would they end homelessness? They're going to continue homelessness because the agencies need an ongoing crisis. These nonprofits need an ongoing crisis in order to justify going to Springfield, lobbying, and getting the money and paying themselves with it. Okay, so they need a steady demand to survive. They need those numbers when they go lobby the lawmakers for more of your tax dollars. Politicians need problems to fix again and again and again. Otherwise, they don't have anything to say while on the campaign trail. Okay, so as long as the solution is government money, the problem can never truly disappear. We need to get government money out of homelessness entirely, go back to churches, because they honestly do it the best. There are churches, Abundant Life Church in Bloomington. They do it the best. They actually serve people, help people find a permanent condition, and they don't encourage homelessness as a lifestyle. Okay, so we need to get government out of it completely. Go back to where the congregation is tithing, and then people who fall on hard times can go to the shepherd, go to the pastor, and we need to get people in churches. That's my solution to it. Get the government money out of it entirely. So $700 million. We don't have a homelessness spending problem. We have a leadership problem, and we have a corruption problem, where everybody's paying their friends with tax dollars to eradicate homelessness, but not really eradicate it, just manage it so we all keep our jobs. So that is what's going on in Illinois. Today, I do want to visit AMFEST. So AMFEST, you might have heard the headlines, and I want to get to this because it's quite entertaining. And I usually don't get into the whole infighting on the right. That's not what this show is about. I'm a news hound, love Illinois politics, the bills, the taxpayer money. But this is taking the internet by storm today. So Ben Shapiro, he publicly pressed Tucker Carlson to issue a disavowal of Nick Fuentes. Tucker Carlson, months ago, I don't even know why Ben Shapiro is still on this, because this happened months ago where Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on. And, the crowd was watching as Ben Shapiro, everybody's like, yeah, he's so ballsy, Ben Shapiro. The crowd was watching. You could hear the claps, and then it went quiet when Tucker like addressed Ben Shapiro at AMFEST and, you know, kind of fought back. And then the room went quiet when Tucker had fought back. I don't know if they were doing silly things with the audio. TPUSA. That's what some people said on X. I don't know. Maybe it was more so Tucker was laying out truth bombs, and sometimes that doesn't require applause. That requires like reflection. And this wasn't like a personal spat. Okay. I want to be clear. This isn't like Tucker versus Ben. This is not about personalities. This is about whether the American conservative movement still believes in free speech, honest inquiry, and America first, or whether we are sliding into identity politics, censorship, and donor-driven gatekeeping. Okay, and that's what today's show is all about. So first, a fact that has somehow vanished in this whole conversation about Ben Shapiro versus Tucker Carlson. Ben Shapiro was never supposed to appear at AMFEST. He's never really, I mean, I think the last time outside of this, I mean, it's been years since Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro is largely irrelevant in conservative circles. And really it began, I think, in 2020 when he said we should be voluntarily masking. Okay, I will never forget that. That did not strike a chord with me. When he was on the radio, I remember it clear as day. He was talking about like, what's so wrong with being nice to somebody and voluntarily masking? I was like, I'll tell you what's wrong with it. The masks don't work. And we knew that in 2021. We knew it was silly. I mean, they had damn like little, like, you know, COVID was absolutely silly when you would go into the grocery store and they had like little footprint outlines telling you where to go in the store. Like, it was just outrageous that they were asking us to social distance and mask when we all knew that that was complete BS. And we knew that pretty early on. And, you know, Ben Shapiro, he's always for the last 5 years, largely irrelevant. So in conservative circles, which is why he hasn't appeared at AMFEST in SAS as a guest in a very long time. And he wasn't supposed to appear as a guest because he wasn't on the lineup in August when Charlie was still alive and issued the lineup. Now, it's kind of fascinating if you were to look at the graphic of the lineup. People say that it's ranked like from best to worst. And there's some truth to that. I know people who worked at TPUSA and have worked at TPUSA, and they create the graphics for the speakers and they put the headliners at the tippity top. So the headliners, I mean, it was Charlie Kirk, who was supposed to speak at this year's AMFEST. Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Donald J. Trump Jr., and then all the way at the bottom, you had Riley Gaines, Jack Posobiec, Ben Shapiro, not on the list. So I feel like that's gotten lost. It's odd that he was added. The leadership at TPUSA, they made the decision to add Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is not relevant. I mean, maybe for millennials, but Gen Z, they don't like him. Okay. And Charlie got that. He understood that. Who did Gen Z like? Charlie Kirk. Okay. They didn't like Ben Shapiro. And that matters. That fact matters, that he was not on that list. And then they put him on that list. I don't know why. Okay. So I don't like Ben Shapiro. I'm not a fan. I haven't been really. It started in 2020 with the masking thing. And then I realized, I was like, we really don't have anything in common. Ben Shapiro comes off as smug to me. He comes off as sort of an elitist. So I've never really watched him. But Charlie Kirk, he didn't build TPUSA as a shrine to any one figure or faction. Okay. So he was all about, you know, big tent, broad ideas. Everybody bring your ideas to AMFEST. Multiple speakers. You know, he did that for a reason. because he was challenging censorship, resisting the gatekeeping, okay, and defending Americans' right to speak freely. So that's why, like, I don't like TPUSA's decision to add Ben Shapiro. It just is like so strange, because Ben is largely irrelevant in the conservative movement at this point, amongst definitely among Gen Z, which is why I don't think the Daily Wire does nearly as well as they could. But I mean, it's a great idea, and why I think people like Brett Cooper. You know, I don't know the ins and outs of why she left, but she left and she went to go do her own thing. And I know Steven Crowder. I think he denied a contract with Daily Wire, a big contract with Daily Wire. And you have like younger sort of Gen Z. I know Steven is like older, but it is such a great concept, and it could be so much more than what it is now. But I think that this pompous character of Ben Shapiro really bogs it down. And I think that their staff sees that. And, you know, you have Candace Owens leaving, you have Brett Cooper leaving, and I'm not privy to all the details. I'm just a Gen Zer looking on the inside or looking on the outside in. But Charlie defended Americans' rights to speak, even if that speech is uncomfortable or you don't like it. So, although I don't really appreciate TPUSA, the new leadership, adding Ben Shapiro after Charlie Kirk had gone and is no longer with us on Earth, I can't wait to see him in heaven. Bury me with a red hat. I've got a rally to go to. I miss Charlie, but I'm not too disappointed, because I know Charlie wouldn't be opposed to multiple ideas, multiple types of people speaking at AMFEST. That's what it was all about. It wasn't a shrine to any one person. It's not a shrine to President Donald Trump. It's not a shrine to himself or Tucker Carlson or Donald Trump Jr. He had a whole host of speakers that, if you listen to them, he might not even have this. They might not even have the same beliefs as Charlie. So Ben took the stage and he demanded a disavowal from Tucker Carlson, and it was just really awkward. Everybody's like cheering and everything, and I don't know if they manipulated the audio. There was probably definitely half and half. And there's these two opposing ideologies at AMFEST right now, and you can feel the angst in the room. It's Zionism versus America First. And what I don't think people understand, because they haven't read their Bibles, and Charlie understood this, which is why he was the glue to the conservative movement. He was a Protestant Christian who was a Zionist, but also believed in America First. And you can be both. Okay. And, when Ben took the stage here, it ran against this very spirit of what Charlie spent his life defending, which was free speech. We might not agree, but I'm not going to disavow you. I'm going to have a conversation with you. That was his whole damn point, like the whole damn point of him going on college campuses. So yeah, rest in peace, Charlie. So let's look at this. This is the Ben Shapiro video where he urges Tucker Carlson to disavow Nick Fuentes. And I watched, a good portion of this. We're going to watch a good portion, but he blasts Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens. And you guys know how I feel about Candace Owens, and she's not even really a part of this camp, the Tucker Carlsons, the Megyn Kellys, even the Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a rage baiter. And once you understand that he's a rage baiter, you can kind of appreciate some of the points he makes. And Ben takes a lot of the stuff that Nick Fuentes has said out of context. And, he's a rage baiter. He's funny and makes a lot of jokes that are really ragey and designed to have an effect. Okay, so this is Ben Shapiro. I'm going to play some of this. This is just silliness. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Even more important, how to discern those attempting to speak truth from frauds and grifters. Because something is new, an informational environment rife with both opportunity and chaos. Opportunity because the legacy media gatekeepers are no longer in charge of what we see and what we hear. And chaos because an anarchic informational environment means we actually have to be smart in how we assess the information and arguments that we hear. Why does that matter? Well, because today the conservative movement is in serious danger. It is in danger, not just from a left that all too frequently excuses everything up to and including murder. The conservative movement is also in danger from charlatans who claim to speak in the name of principle, but actually traffic in conspiracism and dishonesty, who offer nothing but bile and despair, who seek to undermine fundamental principles of conservatism by championing enervation and grievance. These people are frauds, and they are grifters, and they do not deserve your time. And they are something worse than that, a danger to the only movement capable of stopping the left from wrecking the country wholesale. So today, I want to discuss 5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to you. I want to speak to you about our duties. Our first duty is truth. We owe you the truth. That means we should not mislead you. It means we shouldn't hide the ball. We shouldn't be deliberately obscure about what we're telling you. We have an obligation to clarity and to honesty. This means that we actually have to be clear in the language that we use. We should not traffic in generality. We should not say things like, they shot Charlie, without specifying whom we mean by they. The person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and whom all the evidence points at, all of it, is a gay, trans-loving furry. If we are going to target ideological movements, we should talk about the fact that the radical trans movement treats all those who oppose it as existential threats. Or if we're going to talk about the Democratic Party making room for the radical trans movement and echoing its inflammatory rhetoric, well, we should talk about that. Those are specific problems, and they require specific responses. When people say they shot Charlie, however, they are instead trafficking in vagary that results in increased hatred without proposing any effective response. They are fostering despair and rage, and that makes things worse. We must also be honest about what people say and do, regardless of what that means coalitionally. It is the job of politicians to build coalitions. It's the job of those of us who try to shape public opinion to hold politicians to account and to hold them accountable to our values. We must not let fear of audience deter us from telling the truth. We must not let fear of other hosts deter us from telling the truth. So, for example, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to anything he said there about Candace Owens. I've told you that bold claims require substantial evidence or receipts of some kind, and Candace Owens didn't do that, which is why I'm so annoyed that he's looping Candace Owens in with people like Tucker Carlson. Say what you want about Nick Fuentes. He brings receipts, okay, and he asks questions. Candace Owens made claims, and we, this platform, Tucker Carlson, we do have an obligation to truth to say, hey, no, here's what we know, and provide receipts. And that's the free marketplace of ideas. The bad ones that don't have that evidence or the necessary evidence needed will go away. Okay. What he's doing here, though, and you'll see this a little bit further into the clip, he's urging these podcasters to disavow people who ask questions. Tucker Carlson is a great example where he's just constantly asking questions, brings up receipts. Take a listen here.
Erica Kirk and TPUSA never should have been put in the position to have to defend themselves against such specious and evil attacks, particularly in a time of mourning. And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice. The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly. Second, because we owe you the truth, we owe you the duty to speak out of principle, not personal feeling. It should not matter whether we despise someone or whether we love someone. The question is what they say and what they do, and whether those things are morally decent or not. On a political level, do they foster freedom, justice, and prosperity? On a personal level, do they treat others as they would wish to be treated? Personal feeling is not a substitute for moral judgment. To take again the Candace Owens situation as an example, friendship with public figures who say or do evil things is not an excuse for silence on the matter. Politics is not the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Politics is about principle, and if you are willing to sacrifice basic truth and simple principle in favor of emotional solidarity, you have betrayed your fundamental duty to the American people.
Okay. So I'm done playing this. I'll tell you what he said about Tucker Carlson. He's not wrong with all of that, but what he called Tucker Carlson to do was to disavow Nick Fuentes, and I'm just not about that. I'm not even about disavowing Candace Owens as a person. She has, a platform where she spews nonsense, I think, and doesn't back up her claims with substantial evidence, and I think that eventually she'll go away. Because the truth always comes out, and in the marketplace of ideas, the bad ideas are always squashed when the truth is louder. So we, truth tellers, have an obligation to be louder than the Candace Owens of the world. But what Ben Shapiro did in his speech, he urged Tucker Carlson to disavow guests that he has on his show and not to platform them. Okay. And Charlie Kirk, the entire time he was alive, defended Tucker Carlson. In fact, had him as the second top speaker outside of himself at TPUSA. Charlie Kirk, he was the glue. Okay. And what's really going on here is people aren't reading their Bibles. You can be a Zionist and America First at the same time. Okay, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, the Nick Fuentes, they all don't agree with that. They wouldn't call themselves Zionists, and they don't think it's possible to be a Zionist and America First at the same time. Guess who did believe that? Protestant Christian Charlie Kirk, who understood the Old Testament and the New Testament, understood that Jesus was a fulfillment of the law, and he wasn't to do away with the prophets and the law, but rather was a fulfillment of them. And he still believed in the old covenant that Israel should exist as a Jewish state because God makes covenants and he doesn't break them. Okay. If that was the case, he wouldn't be God. Okay, so Charlie did face pressure because he would not disavow. He faced pressure probably from Jewish donors, but he was unwavering. He faced pressure to disavow people like Candace Tucker, and he wouldn't do it, right? Because he understood that there is truth to what there is a truth to what they're saying, that, hey, the Israeli government should be questioned. But it doesn't mean that we abandon as Christians, and all these people profess to be Christians. I think it's interesting that they're all Catholics. Pretty sure Tucker Carlson is Catholic. They all say, well, Zionism shouldn't be a thing and it should only be America first. But you don't have to separate America first from Zionism. And a true Bible-believing Christian, somebody who reads the Bible, doesn't just get their message from a priest, somebody who believes that the word is Jesus and is God, and the word was with God in the beginning. Somebody who believes that, and I believe Charlie did, understands that you don't have to separate the two. Okay, and they're not really contrasting ideologies. We're all on the same team, but you need to crack open the Bible, and knowledge is power. Okay, and Charlie was the glue because he got that. That Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, they're not wrong in saying that, hey, we need to criticize the Israeli government, but criticizing the whole race of people, or hating the country and not wanting anything to do with this country and not blessing this country, Israel, which we are commanded to do, to bless Israel. And I'm not saying that's in the form of government checks, blank government checks. But we should definitely remain an ally. And the biggest blessing that we could provide Israel is by questioning their corrupt government. We have corrupt government. They have corrupt government. And, Charlie defended Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and he rejected censorship. And he said it very plainly, I'm American. I want you to take a listen to this. This is Charlie shortly before he died, tragically. This isn't a throwaway line, by the way. I'm American, okay? He was on with Megyn Kelly, and he was talking about how he was facing extreme pressure from people to disavow Tucker Carlson because they aren't Zionists. And you can disavow ideas, and, he talked about how he went to Israel, encountered the living God, there in Israel because he walked where he walked. And, he was a Zionist, but he was also America first. And you can be both. And that's what's so frustrating about this, is that nobody understands, because truly, I don't think these people are reading the Bible. And Charlie did. Take a listen. Here we go.
And so this is what they don't understand. You and I, Megyn, and Tucker is in the same category, and they've tried to go after Tucker.
Yeah.
Is that the more you attack our moral character, the more we're going to double down in a direction, because 100%. Screw you, I don't do it that way. Okay.
Right.
Like tell me I'm wrong. Cool. Tell me if I've got my facts wrong. By the way, on the Epstein thing, Naftali Bennett says he wasn't an Epstein agent. We have to be pursuers of truth. They've denied it. Fine. Let's keep digging. Okay, fine. But the thing that I think is being lost is, like, on some part of the population, you can scold them into silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I have any deviation of a purity test, any deviation whatsoever, such as hosting a focus group, right, Megyn, with a bunch of our students that went viral, having Dave Smith or Tucker at my event, it is all of a sudden, Charlie is he's no longer with us and all that. I said, wait a second, what do you mean? What does with us mean exactly? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an American, okay? Like, I represent this country, and I don't even understand that paradigm. But Megyn, I think you would agree with this. I want to make sure we really zero in on this. Personality types like you, myself, and Tucker, the more that you guys privately and publicly call our character into question, which is not isolated, right? Megan, it would be one thing if
That's
it was
right.
one text or two texts. It is dozens of texts.
Yes.
Then we start to say, hold the boat here.
Okay. So that's important that you understand that Charlie defended Tucker Carlson's right to speak on Israel and Zionism, and he rejected censorship. Okay, because I think you have two sides. Like, you're either one of us or you're one of us. And really what it is you can have both, be America first and be a Zionist. And that's what Charlie was. But he was an American, and that's not a throwaway line. That's a declaration of priority. And Charlie opposed identity politics, all of it. He believed Americans should not be sorted, silenced, and, divvied out by ethnicity or deemed lesser than according to your ethnicity. Okay. The Gentiles are not less than because they're not Jewish. Okay. That's just silliness. But you can recognize that Israel was set apart for the descendants of Abraham who are Jewish. That is an old covenant. So AMFEST, it was really a clash of visions. One vision, the Ben Shapiro vision, says speech has to be managed, questions must be approved, and certain topics are off limits. Israel and our relationship with Israel, and whether we're going to keep our heads in the sand and not call out the Israeli government for their corruption. If they're going to be an ally of ours, they have to, and we do this for the people of Israel. It's the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, that we have not the government. And the Old Testament is full of men who loved the nation of Israel and the people of Israel and rebuked the leaders of Israel. So there's one vision that says certain topics are off limits, questions have to be pre-approved, and speeches to be managed. Okay, that is a vision of one side of this conservative movement. The other side says, hey, truth doesn't fear questions. Bad ideas will be defeated and are defeated. They shouldn't be banned. Candace Owens has bad ideas. I don't think that she should be banned. I don't think that she should be deplatformed. I don't think that people have an obligation to disavow Candace Owens. She just lacks evidence, and I think her show, and it always has been this way, she's just never been a pundit that is quick when it comes to politics, history. I don't think that she knows any of it, to be frank with you. But her bad ideas will be defeated because truth always, we have to attempt to make truth louder to squash those bad ideas. America first means Americans get answers, and we should be helping and blessing Israel. And the best way to bless Israel would be to get corrupt government leaders out of Israel, so that way Israel can truly be blessed. So Charlie stood for this second vision here, where truth doesn't fear questions, and bad ideas are defeated. They aren't banned. And America first. Okay, so Tucker, he really embodied the second vision when speaking at AMFEST. Let's take a listen here. This is Tucker Carlson addressing, how Ben Shapiro called on him to disavow Nick Fuentes. Like, he's a host, he's allowed to have guests on, he's allowed to question. And it's so funny because Tucker Carlson, after having Nick Fuentes on, was kind of mean to Nick. And I didn't think he disavowed him. But the fact that Tucker just had him on pissed Ben Shapiro off so bad. And like I said, once you understand who Nick is, he's a rage baiter, and but he comes with receipts and questions the government of Israel. But I think Nick goes a little bit too far, much like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. They go a little bit too far, and they aren't Zionists. It's, you can be both America First and Zionist. And I think that Tucker, Megyn Kelly, they go a little bit too far, and they claim to be Christians. But they're not reading about that old covenant and how Israel should exist as a Jewish state. And Charlie understood all of it. Okay, so here's Tucker. I think he really embodied the second vision here, where we have to ask questions. Right. So I think that Tucker perfectly embodied that. There are things that I don't agree with. Obviously, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes on, because I would be a Zionist, right? But we've got to address elephants in the room when we see them. There are serious questions, and I'll get to this. There was a student who asked about this, actually, USS Liberty. There's always been serious questions about that and whether the Israeli government knew that it was an American ship. Details surrounding documents have been released surrounding the JFK assassination. The Epstein files, CEOs of banks, okay, prime ministers, foreign government leaders, being in these files, these this client list that has been concealed. There are court documents that are concealed by our intelligence agencies and sealed up where we can't get them unless the director, it would be Tulsi Gabbard, is directed by the president to unseal those. And October 7th, there's questions there. Okay, so we have to address those. And if you truly love Israel and its people, and I do, I want more than anything Jewish people to convert to Christianity, because they call them Messianic Jews. That is like it's a wholeness. Okay. Jesus came to save everyone. And I want to see the Jews saved. I want to see Muslims saved. And you can love Israel and want answers about their corrupt government. And in fact, that proves that you love the Jewish people in the nation more than anything. So these questions are not anti-Semitic. In fact, they're the opposite. They're not treason. They're not hearsay. But I want to play this clip. This is of a TPUSA or a young student. I don't know what school or anything, a young campus conservative asking Ben Shapiro about the Israeli attack on the USS Liberty. Okay, and this has been a point of contention for a long time. And Ben shuts the kid down. Take a listen. Here we go.
During your speech, truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism.
Oh,
Why,
can you hear that?
Did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded?
Okay, this is...
So what I actually said is that if we're looking at modern Israeli-American relations, looking at an attack that happened mistakenly by multiple Navy reports, multiple Israeli reports, and all of horrible for the Americans involved, that it wasn't bloody and terrible. The Israeli government paid reparations to the people who were killed. If you look at the actual military record of what happened on the USS Liberty, it was clearly a mistaken and tragic attack. The people who frequently cite the USS Liberty, however, are not talking about the specifics of the USS Liberty. I suspect that the vast majority of people who bring this up are doing so in order to suggest that Israel deliberately attacked an American ship because Israel deliberately wants to harm America. It is connected generally with a larger point. I wonder if that's your point.
If the truth matters, then the Israeli government must be held accountable for that attack. The American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our flag is flying.
So, and we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. Liberty attack, or you can actually go look at the naval investigations that were done, multiple naval.
Okay, so Ben Shapiro, that was a little quiet. I'm just going to repeat a little bit. Essentially, he smeared this young student as a Hitlerite. Okay, and he said, go look at the naval reports, go look at the naval reports. Okay, Tucker responded, and he said, hey, by the way, it's okay to ask questions about this event. And I mean, Ben has a point where, is it irrelevant today? Because you're bringing it up, decades later. But I don't think that's an effective argument to bring up, it happened decades ago. There's all kinds of things that happened decades ago. The Holocaust happened decades ago. It doesn't mean that it's not part of the conversation today. That's the whole point of history and the whole point of politics, really, is to look at history. And the USS Liberty, we'll get to the history of it. And there was an American flag flying. I mean, at the time, you had American soldiers saying that it was flying, and it was hours of strikes, and it was dismissed as a mistake. Okay, so the Israeli government, it is relevant if the Israeli government was corrupt then, and if it's corrupt now. Fast forward to October 7th, Charlie Kirk even brought this up about how the Israeli government possibly had intelligence about the October 7th attack and did nothing. So Tucker responded and said, hey, it's okay to ask questions, and you don't have to dismiss this young student asking questions about USS Liberty and call him essentially a Hitlerite or a Hitler lover right off the bat. People are asking questions about the corruption of the Israeli government back then, much like they are asking questions about the corruption of the Israeli government now. The Israeli government when JFK was assassinated, and there's nothing wrong with that. But let's take a listen to Tucker Carlson's response to the student who had asked.
I remember my brother once said, to question your motives, actually, why can't you answer the question? Why can't you?
Okay, so yeah, Ben really didn't answer the question. He dismissed it because it happened years ago. And then he said, well, check out the naval reports. Well, the government fabricating documents, or the government, coming up with an official report. Yeah, let's trust that, not the American soldiers who said we were flying the flag. They hit us for hours upon hours. There's questions there. So that sentence alone says, hey, let's ask questions. That sentence alone matters. So Proverbs 18:17 tells us the one who states his case first seems right until the other comes in and examines him. Okay, so, this appeal to authority, Ben Shapiro, he appealed to authority. Okay, check out the naval reports. Okay, yeah, well, authorities lie all the time. Look what they did to President Donald Trump. They trumped up charges against him. He has technically, I think, 34 felonies on his record. I mean, do you think that he deserved those felonies, or were they trumped up charges? Anybody else would have been charged with misdemeanor for those bookkeeping mistakes. But officially, he's a felon. Okay, do you think that the president really committed a felonious crime? Come on now. People lie all the time. And whoever states his case first seems right, but then somebody comes in and examines him. Okay, and Proverbs tells us to ask questions, tells us to examine people and examine these official reports. And maybe we should, listen to the witnesses and the American soldiers who were on the ship. So Christianity doesn't demand silence, it demands truth. And you don't get to the truth by not asking questions. I'm a Christian. I believe Israel should exist as a Jewish state. You can be America first and Zionist at the same damn time. Okay. And I should note that Charlie was a Zionist and America first at the same damn time. So the preacher at AMFEST, and I found this interesting, they added Ben Shapiro, who wasn't on the list, hasn't been on the list for SAS, AMFEST for a long time at TPUSA. But the preacher also prayed for not America, but only Israel. And I think that's odd. You have an American preacher opening for this TPUSA event. Every TPUSA event I've ever been at, they prayed for Israel, at the time of the attacks, the October 7th attack, but they'll also pray for America. Okay. And you can pray for both. I don't know why America wasn't mentioned in the prayer. I found that interesting. And Ben Shapiro, he kind of crashed out and he started urging hosts to deplatform guests and speakers on their show. Michael Knowles even inadvertently threw shade at his own boss. Okay, Michael Knowles, his boss is Ben Shapiro, and he made a remark about loyalty to foreign flags. Okay, and Tucker Carlson, I think he absolutely smashed it out of the park because he was humorous and he wasn't like mean. Like, he was goofy and funny about it, and that tells you, what side is really in the interest of getting to the truth. Okay. And, I think that Tucker Carlson goes too far. He wouldn't say that and even Nick Fuentes, they say that Islam, radical Islam, is not a global threat, or they will not talk about radical Islam as a problem. And I think that they go too far in saying that, Israel shouldn't exist as a Jewish state. That's all Zionism really is. But I think he knocked it out of the park. He was humorous and showed generosity towards his persecutors. I think he did a great job. Smashed it out of the park. Charlie Kirk, he's going to be truly missed. God rest his soul. He really did feel like the glue of this movement, didn't he? And it's really because I think he was a man of the Bible. And without him, I think that TPUSA is going to implode. I think that it's going to split. And, I think that this audience is divided between America First and Zionists. And you can believe that the Jewish people have a biblical and historical connection to that land, and that the old covenant still exists. Okay. But you don't have to love everything Israel government does. In fact, we're called to not have blind loyalty to any government. The Bible is full of prophets who love Israel, but rebuke her leaders. You rebuke corrupt leaders because you love the nation. I rebuke corrupt leaders in the state of Illinois because I love Illinois. I rebuke corrupt leaders in the United States because I love this nation. And Trump's not exempt. Yesterday I said if he goes to war with Venezuela, I'm going to be pissed. I don't think that he will. He got the mainstream media to think that he was going to war with Venezuela. So that way they would cover his essentially Trump rally, anticipating the announcement of war. But Donald Trump, there's been things, H-1B visas, he wants to expand those. I'm against that. That's not in the interest of America. 600,000 Chinese nationalists that come into the United States through student visas. I'm against that. That's not America first. Chinese, they're our adversary. They're not even an ally like Israel is. But I call out corruption when I see it, and I call out, wrongdoing of our leaders and rebuke leaders when they have not the interest of the nation's people in mind. Okay, and I'll do it for America. I'll do it for Israel. I'll do it for Illinois. And, I want people to profess Jesus Christ. Every knee will bow. Somebody in the comment section, they were like, isn't it? I don't know. The prophecy. I think that there's prophecy that says that not all Jews, and obviously not everybody's going to come to Christ. Eventually everybody will in the second coming. So that's what I'm talking about. Eventually everybody will bow their knee and bend their knee and profess Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior when he comes in the second coming. And, the battle is fought, the end battle. But refusing to investigate historical events or even current events because it's politically inconvenient, or there's not money to be made when you question Jewish leaders, that's just wrong. You can support Israel's right to exist, and that is compatible with asking whether our government and the Israeli government is telling the truth. Okay. So Charlie Kirk rejected identity politics. Just because you aren't Jewish doesn't mean you are inferior. Okay. Or just because you are Jewish doesn't mean you are superior. That's why Jesus came. Okay. We're all adopted into the family, God's family. And yet, what was demanded at AMFEST is kind of the opposite of what Jesus was all about, which is, hey, it doesn't matter, Jew, Gentile, we're all the same as long as you profess Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, ultimately. And, at AMFEST, what they were calling for is identity-based loyalty test. Who are you aligned with? Who do you denounce? And who do you publicly shame? And, based on that, we're going to allow you into our camp. Like, that is not conservatism. That is managerial politics. And Ben Shapiro, another clip here I want to play really quick. He says that the future of America relies on freedom, free markets, limited government, but then he'll advocate for big government foreign policy, where, we're sending millions of dollars. Like I established in the earlier segment about homelessness, spending $700 million doesn't necessarily eradicate homelessness. Okay. Spending money on Israel, perhaps what Israel needs the most from America is journalists, people who are looking into the government, the corrupt government of Israel, and ensuring that those people in power are protecting the people of the nation. But take a listen. Here we go.
And the future of this country, this amazing country, relies on the future of the conservative movement. It relies on what TPUSA defines as its core mission: freedom, free markets, and limited government. And most of all, the future of this country relies on truth. And the future of this country, this amazing...
Okay. Well, we're not free if the taxpayers are enslaved to foreign nations via our tax dollars. Okay. Galatians warns us in the Bible not to submit to slavery, to a yoke of slavery, especially one that's dressed up as moral righteousness. So what Ben Shapiro would prefer I do is denounce, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens entirely, Tucker Carlson entirely. I denounce their ideas. Some of them have anti-Zionist ideas, and that's not biblical. Me as a Christian, I can denounce their ideas and their takes on certain issues. But I'm not going to denounce them because I think that they have questions that are being asked. And why would I denounce them as a human being rather than question their ideas and provide my argument as to why I believe that Israel should exist as a Jewish state? So, I mean, this is really just a theology debate. It really is. It's Christians that are broken, and we're fighting against each other. And it's really simple. And I think that Charlie understood both sides. And he really understood the Bible and understands that, you can be American first and Zionist at the same time. And, what Ben Shapiro would prefer I do is submit to this yoke of slavery of, hey, you have to denounce certain people. You have to align yourself with certain people and publicly shame certain people in order to be a part of our camp. And that is a form of slavery. Now, Tucker Carlson, I think that just the feeling, he stayed calm, he stayed focused, he stayed human. He didn't even really go after Ben Shapiro personally. He didn't sneer, he didn't insult, he didn't really escalate. He went after the ideas. Tucker emphasized unity, peace, and national coherence, and he demanded inquiry. Okay, hey, we need to inquire, we need to ask questions, and that takes courage. So there was rumors of a lack of applause for Tucker Carlson at the event. I don't know if that was just because TPUSA messed with the microphones or messed with the crowd mics, Or maybe Tucker Carlson struck a chord with some of those students in the audience, and rather than cheers, there was a silent reflection. I don't know, but I do want to get to June 8th, 1967. During the Six-Day War, the USS Liberty was clearly marked a U.S. Navy ship. It was a technical research ship, and it was attacked in international waters. Israeli aircraft and torpedo boats struck the ship for well over an hour. Okay, 34 American sailors were killed, 171 were wounded. So the survivors testified consistently, and we have reports of this for decades, that the ship was flying a large American flag and that there were markings clearly visible on the ship, and the distress calls were jammed, multiple U.S. officials later acknowledged that the incident was quickly closed, with survivors ordered to remain silent. Okay, so U.S. officials said, you stay silent on this issue. So the naval reports that Ben Shapiro was talking about is, these, there's testimony out there from these American soldiers who saw everything happen, and we should go off of eyewitness accounts. No, but the U.S. officials, when they did up their official report, they didn't include any of that, and they chalked it up to like a mistaken identity. Okay, and a lot of men back then didn't accept that answer, and we can honor Israel's right to exist. Okay, but that doesn't mean pretending that American soldiers don't matter. That doesn't mean justifying corrupt government back in 1967 or now in 2025. American soldiers matter, and loving an ally does not require suppressing testimony of the wounded. Okay, so there was testimony from sailors who said, we were flying the American flag. So, that's why when Tucker, says this line, it's okay to ask questions, that's a big deal. And I want to talk about October 7th. Charlie Kirk, he never claimed that the attack was justified or minimized the horror. And that's one thing that Tucker kind of airs on, and Nick and Candace, they will kind of say that radical Islam is not a global threat. Or like, at least you get that interpretation. And it is a global threat. We see the radicalization of Muslims in this country. Just recently, what was it? In Australia, all those people died in that shooting. It was a radicalized ISIS father-son duo, and they killed a bunch of people, Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah. Okay, and, why are the Jewish people attacked? They are God's people. And there is a covenant with the Jewish people, and they are supposed to have Israel, and that's why they're constantly attacked. But, what he did do here, Charlie Kirk, regarding the October 7th attack, he carefully and very soberly acknowledged that the reporting that Israel intelligence had received warnings ahead of time. He acknowledged that they had received intelligence that there was going to be some sort of attack. And that's not really fringe speculation. That's kind of from mainstream media outlets, foreign intelligence briefings that happened after the fact that there were warnings. Warnings were ignored. There were security failures, internal political dysfunction. And I want to share this. This was Charlie Kirk shortly after appearing on the PBD podcast, where he talked about the October 7th attack. Take a listen.
Deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust. I went on the great Patrick Bet David's podcast. I encourage you to check him out at AMFEST.com. Patrick Bet David is one of my favorite people in the country. He's an amazing member of the media and really smart. Patrick Bet David runs Valuetainment. So we had this conversation, and I asked a series of questions. And on my birthday, and so happens to be the first game of Oregon v. Washington, I had this all planned, and Andrew is a big Washington fan. We'll see who ends up winning tonight. It's this whole thing. The whole week is centered around it. It's really high stakes. And so I had, I was like, okay, it's my birthday. I've been traveling like crazy. I wanted to watch the Ducks, the Huskies, the whole thing. And next thing you know, Andrew's calling me on Shabbat. I said, what on earth is going on? I thought he was calling to wish me a happy birthday. And he says, Charlie, you're going viral. Everyone says you're a Holocaust denier and all this. It's terrible. I said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm the most pro-Israel guy out there. And they said, well, no, you're not allowed to even, again, let me reemphasize, calling me on Shabbat, okay? You're not allowed to, apparently, with the new rules of this sick world we live in, you're not allowed to even ask, was there an intel failure leading into the October 7th massacre? Not allowed to do that. So what are the cut? What's the cut again here? Oh, yeah, on PBD. So look, this is what I said. Let's play cut 131. And the world lost its mind. I was attacked from every direction, like you could imagine. Institutional, there was a series of op-eds, articles, all trying to cancel me. They failed. And again, call me an anti-Semite, all this sort of stuff. Again, it really bothered me. And it turns out what I was saying was, because I double and triple down, and people said, don't do it, it's too controversial. I said, no. My gut tells me that the Israeli intelligence likely knew about this attack plan ahead of time. They said, Charlie, how dare you say that? That's anti-Semitic. New York Times. Israel knew Hamas's plan more than a year ago. Play cut 131.
How did these guys not know this was taking place?
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. No, that's a small, and I'm not even getting into the stand down order thing, okay? There's no insinuation in this article that says that, so I'm going to put that aside. Morning Joe actually goes there, interestingly enough. But I double and triple down. I said, I find it very hard to believe that the Israeli government didn't know this was going to happen. This is bombshell stuff, everybody. And it's very personal for me because I had Jewish friends that I'd known for 10 years call me a Holocaust denier. I have the text messages right here. Charlie, you are no better than a Holocaust denier for saying this. Israeli officials obtained Hamas's battle plan more than a year before it happened. Documents, emails, interviews show. But Israeli military and intelligence officials dismissed the plan as aspirational, considering it too difficult for Hamas to carry out. The approximately 40-page document, which the Israeli authorities codenamed Jericho Wall, outlined point by point exactly the kind of devastating invasion that led to the deaths of about 1,200 people. The translated document, which was reviewed by the New York Times, did not set a date, but it described the methodical assault to overwhelm fortifications. Listen to this quote from the New York Times. Hamas followed the blueprint with shocking precision. The Israeli government knew. They had the whole battle plan. Details? This is the New York Times. Hamas followed the blueprint with shocking precision. They knew points of entry, the methodology. They knew it all. The Israeli government had the whole ball game ahead of them. The document was circulated widely among Israeli military and intel leaders, but experts determined that an attack of that scale and ambition was beyond Hamas's capabilities. Before America sends another dime to Israel, there better be mass resignations, firings, terminations, and answers. There's a lot more I'm going to talk about probably in the third hour on this, but I'm just going to repeat that.
Okay. So that was Charlie Kirk. Okay. And, notice the pattern. USS Liberty, silence. You can't talk about it. You're a Hitlerite. That was decades ago. It's irrelevant. Read the naval reports. Right. That was Ben Shapiro when he was addressed about USS Liberty at AMFEST. JFK. We can't ignore this. You get ridiculed or deemed a conspiracy theorist, but I've seen the documents. They're declassified documents. It shows James Angleton, okay, the second most powerful man at the CIA at the time, and he was collaborating with Israeli intelligence unbeknownst to JFK or Congress. And there's a great deal of evidence pointing to Angleton's centrality to the plot to unalive JFK. There's a great deal of evidence pointing to that. On top of that, the funding for that project came from CMC Permindex, okay, whose board is made up of powerful Israel supporters, including Louis Bronfman and Gershon Perez, brother of Shimon Peres, the president of Israel at the time. Okay, so like there's a lot of documents that suggest that there was somebody within the CIA working with Israel, and Israel had many reasons to take out JFK. JFK, above all else, he was, not a guy who would be goaded into war. Okay. And he was about peace, and he didn't want Israel to get a nuclear bomb. Okay. And Angleton, this James Angleton character, was working to help Israel to obtain that. And JFK was also talking about forcing APAC to register as a foreign agent in the U.S. as foreign, and they never did. Okay. So there's a lot. I mean, you've got JFK, USS Secure, and there's a pattern here. Epstein, stonewalling, banking CEOs. We know that a lot of them are Jewish. There's probably foreign government leaders on this client list. It's been sealed by our intelligence communities, been sealed by the courts at the direction of our intelligence agencies, and you can't unseal them. I don't care that they passed this thing in Congress. It doesn't do anything. Okay, they've already got all the information that they can. I think Tulsi Gabbard would be the person to unseal the court documents that are sealed. And she might have to get Donald Trump's say so on that, but I don't know. Maybe it is seriously an issue of national security, because if all the banking CEOs go down, we're looking at, I think, complete economic global collapse if that client list comes out. So the October 7th, we just covered that, the intelligence failures, a moral outrage for daring to ask, and my point is if you love the Israel, the nation, and you love the people, the Jewish people, what you would want would be to expose the corrupt government that leads to nuclear war and no peace, and that would lead to, American soldiers dying. That would lead to 1,200 people on October 7th dying. Like, if the best interest, and if you are seriously for the interest of Israel, then you would ask some questions. Okay. Charlie understood that. The truth does not need protection from questions. Power does. And Charlie warned, even near the end here of his life, that movements collapse when we start protecting institutions and we start protecting government rather than fiercely protecting the people. And we start fiercely protecting institutions and government and power rather than getting questions asked and answered for the people. Okay, so that's why he defended Tucker. That's why he opposed gatekeeping, because you can't get answers without questions. So I'm going to end the show. My point is that, hey, I'm American. And if we ask questions about USS Liberty, October 7th, Jeffrey Epstein, client list, who's on them, banking CEOs, prime ministers, if we ask questions about JFK's assassination and this, James Angleton, the connection he had with the Israeli government, and he was a part of our CIA and the nuclear, JFK's attempts to make sure Israel didn't get a nuclear weapon. Like, if we ask questions about that stuff, that doesn't mean we're anti-Semites. In fact, asking the questions proves that we care about the Jewish people, and you can be America first and Zionist at the same time. And that's what Charlie Kirk was. So I'm American. That statement isn't anti-anyone. That's just pro-truth. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Went over a little bit, but smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow or Monday morning. Bye-bye.